welcome back. We're here today with this John Deere D110 mower. It's got the Edge 42-inch deck on it. Customer brought it in and said that the deck is still mowing uneven, even though we had just replaced the blades. Well, I took one look at those blades and knew instantly we were not the ones to put those blades on. I'll show you why here in a minute, but I'm going to show you how to easily diagnose and repair an issue with your mower deck if it's cutting unevenly still after replacing the blades or the spindles and you just can't get the adjustment right. Go ahead and first off hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoy the content as we go along. As we flip the deck over here, the first thing I noticed is how bad a shape this deck is actually in and these blades are in. If you look at this one, you can easily tell that this blade is completely bent horribly. It's got some metal wrapped around it here, and it's got a bunch of, I don't know, plastic or something wrapped around the spindle on that side. Take off the blades. One of the first thing I notice about the blades is that they're double-sided blades. I've never replaced a blade with a double-sided blade. That is how I instantly knew this wasn't a blade that I put on to begin with, but these things have been through heck and back in whatever amount of time, whoever replaced them anyway. Look at the amount of stuff that's wrapped all around here. Definitely not good on that side. Let's see the other side. This side somehow seems to actually be worse. Full disclosure, I did take this off when I originally was going to do this, and then I saw all the issues, and that's what made me want to make this video. Blade is in horrible condition just like the other one, and this blade, you can tell, is very bent under. Definitely not even. Big old piece of, oh, I don't know, metal of some sort wrapped around it. All of the teeth on both sides look good. I'm going to throw new blades on it real quick and show you how those line up. As we put these blades on, you can very easily see, before we even tighten them down, that they are not going to line up. Nothing lining up about that side. It's about, oh, I don't know, I'd say probably an inch off from that blade to the other blade. This side comes around at the same level each time. Just about, if you're looking at the outside edge, just about right at the bottom. And this one on this side, again, about an inch out. If the middle spindle were actually bent one way or the other, I see that on some models, what'll happen is on the outside edge, one way or the other, it'll be up in one spot and down in the other, almost like it's a bent blade. So if I turned it around to here and picked out a spot to mark, and then I turned it around to the other side of the blade and it was not at the same spot there, we would know at this point, since it's a new blade, that the spindle shaft was bent. Everything on each one of these is lining up, which means that the deck itself is bent and the whole spindle is up like this. To fix a deck like this, most dealerships are going to tell you you need a new deck. They're not going to mess with doing any of this. You have two options to fix it on your own though. Either you can beat the deck back into submission so everything's level, or you can use some washers to washer it up. It depends on the circumstances on what I use to get this done. But we're going to find out here. We might use a little bit of both to get the thing to level out. Regardless, as long as the blades are on the same plane and everything's level at the outside and inside edges, it doesn't matter which way you do it. I'm going to use a 10 millimeter and just take these bolts for the guard out. Take that straight up and off. This procedure works for any deck. Just showing you on this John Deere because it is a nice, easy one for me to show. Use a 22 to take the top nut off. And then we're going to take the bolts out of the spindle to get this spindle loose. And we're going to figure out exactly where we need this deck to go. Remember, this side is way up higher. So this deck is sitting like this. So the blade is further up than the other blade. So the whole thing's sitting like this. We need to level it back down like such. Again, I did have these out before. I was getting ready to start this when I realized, hey, I've been meaning to make this video. Otherwise, you've got to be real careful when backing these out. You don't want to break them off. If they start hanging up, take it out and screw it back in again. Never go the wrong direction like that. Luckily, that didn't snap off. We'll put some anti-seize on these before we reinstall them, but to figure this out, remove this spindle and take a good look at this deck. Looking very closely at this, I can tell that this is definitely higher than this side. We're going to take some good hammer blows here and try to move that back down, and then we'll take some hammer blows from the other side and try to move this back up a little bit to level it out. You can see how deep it is here, how this is also went down some. So the whole thing, again, is sitting just like that. What I like to do is use 2 hammers. Everyone says you shouldn't hit a hammer with a hammer. Well, it works well for not dinging up the actual surface real well. And now we'll do the same on the bottom side. But this deck's so thin, it doesn't take much to bend it up with that hammer. Let's test and see where we're at. Now, as we're looking, we're maybe, I don't know, maybe 1/8 of an inch or so off from there, maybe 3/16 from the blade being level. I think what I want to do is get this middle a little bit further this way, and then we'll go down on the back side a little bit more also. See if I can't just hit it from the bottom. See what that does for it. As we're looking, we're still a hair off, but it's not far. Looking like a good plane. That's looking almost dead on with the other blade right now. I'm going to tighten it down and see what happens. I've got it all tightened down here, and as we look, we're still probably 3/8 of an inch off. Sometimes when you tighten it down, of course, since this is all flat, it's going to pull that deck back to 100% flat surface where those mounting bolts are. We're going to go ahead and add some washers. See if we can't solve the issue completely from here. Now we've got it all loose here, you can see if this is up against the back side, it needs to be out just a hair on that other side in order for it to be even. We're going to put a washer on the back side and see where that gets us. Just in between the spindle here and the deck. I'm going to put one on here and one on the other bottom bolt facing that same way. Now as we look our end to end, those tips are exactly where they should be as we switch it around. The deck is perfect as far as the level goes there. And then at the outside edge here, if you pick a spot and rotate around, so we're right about there. I rotate this around. Well, that didn't work well. Rotate that around. Same area. Barely hitting my finger each time each one goes around. This deck will cut evenly, and you can confirm that once it's on the mower with one of those fancy measuring tools that measures blade height from the bottom. But these are perfect. They match up in the middle, and at the outside edges, as long as the deck's not bent real bad or anything, you can actually measure from the bottom up to the blade and make sure that that's going to be okay. As we see, it's not the prettiest looking thing, but it is the only way to get these things back into action. You can beat on that deck all day. It's only going to do so much sometimes. Sometimes washing it up is the best way to do it. Now if we measure, see from the blade to the outside edge, I see right at 3/4 of an inch to the bottom edge of the blade to the bottom of the deck. See what the other side says. It's hard because it's backwards on this side, but see what we got. Pretty well exactly the same distance. I did confirm on this after I put the pulley and everything else back together that it didn't change the height of the blade. Sometimes if you have the pulley off, the shaft can actually slip down and cause readings that aren't right, and then you'll have to do something over. This worked out perfectly just the way that we did it. Hopefully this helps somebody get their deck fixed up. I know we save people tens of thousands of dollars every year doing this, as opposed to what the dealer wants them to do. It's a no-brainer when you're talking about either buying a new deck that's, you know, it's probably $500 just for this deck shell. Why would you do that when you can fix it like this? No, again, it's not the most glamorous thing. It's probably not why a bunch of people don't make videos like this, but hey, it is what it is. If it works, that's what fixes the problem. Hopefully this helps somebody get their deck fixed up and saves you a ton of money. Thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed the content.